Hey guys, Nikki here. I'm here today in front of my bookcases again to do this month's book tag video. This month I am sticking with my Behind Her Eyes theme and I'm doing the thrilling thriller book tag. The original was done by Nicole at A Beautiful Chaos of Books. Link for her channel and this video will be in the description below. Feel free to check it out. It was a lot of fun. So with that kind of out of the way, I'm going to jump right into the first prompt, which is, what was the last thriller book you bought? And I have to be honest, I don't buy a lot of thrillers. I typically listen to them. I find them a little bit more engaging that way. But I did, with my January reading vlog, do a bunch of reads of book subscription books, and 2 of them sent me thrillers, so I have 2 answers for this one. The first is Not My Boy by Kelly Simmons, and the other one is Take It Back by Kia Abdullah. Both were kind of middling reads. I think there's going to be a lot of draw to both books by other readers, but they just weren't for me. But those were the last ones I bought. 2 is Show You. What thriller book is most recently added to your TBR? I don't actually have a physical copy of this one. But it was recommended by a coworker. It was The Good Lie by A.R. Torr. She recommended it to me as she kind of enjoyed it and found it, a good time. So she suggested it to me, knowing I am our work's resident bookworm. Other than that, I know absolutely nothing about it because my coworker rocks and did not want to spoil anything for me. The third prompt is, what thriller did you have high expectations for that ultimately let you down? Well, I think a few different ones could kind of fall under here. I think the one that let me down the most was 9 Perfect Strangers. At the beginning, I felt like it had a lot of promise, but then the story just fell apart for me about halfway through, and I had a really hard time getting back into it and becoming engaged again. The fourth prompt is, what tropes do you love and hate in thriller books? I actually chose to go with 3 of each because I have 3 major likes and 3 major dislikes for thrillers. I'm going to start with hate so I can end on a high note by alternating them. The first one I hate is an unreliable narrator due to addiction, specifically alcoholism and drug addiction and mental illness. I just feel there are other ways to do an unreliable narrator, and I've read a few good books that did them that way. So whenever I get to them, especially because so many domestic thrillers have a woman as the main protagonist, it makes me super angry that these women are often presented like that. Even though there's usually a gaslighting psycho man somewhere in the picture. Which leads me to my first like. I like when an unreliable narrator is done well, and it's unreliable because people are lying and you have to read between the lines and pick up the information yourself, even if the character you're following isn't quite connecting the dots the way you are. I prefer it done that way because people just suck, and I prefer keeping that close to heart rather than women are addicts and unreliable. It just feels dirty the other way for some reason. My second hate is twists in books done for just the sake of having twists. There have been a number of books where I'm like, I bet this is going to be the end because this, and this makes sense. And then, like 10 pages before the end, there's a twist. It makes no sense. I go back and skim through to try to find stuff, like clues that hint for this twist, and when that fails, I always feel like if you're doing a twist just to have a twist, you're better off having no twist, even if it's predictable, because a lot of people like that too, and there's nothing wrong with that. Or if you just have too many twists, where the twist happens, you're like, okay, I gotcha. And then there's another twist. And another twist. I could do without those. However, there are the rare books that I do love that do this, but wait, there's more twist. And it's never necessarily stacking twists unnecessarily. It's a twist, and then either explanation or a smaller twist that makes all of the loose ends the first twist left, open, tied up. Like, that's what I like to see. And there's a few books that I've read recently that have done it. Can I tell you what they are? No, because my brain shuts down when I get on camera. As you can tell with all the cuts, I keep looking off to the side for my script. So, and then my final set of love and hate, with my last hate here being that I hate when the pacing is too rushed. I don't mind a quick story, especially if there's a lot of action, but when you're trying to rush through conversations that are going to be leading to information, that always ends up feeling like you're not letting the story develop naturally, and it always makes you feel like you're not allowed to catch up with the story to try to figure out what's going on. I know that's something that not everybody is going to have a big issue with, but that's something I have an issue with. I don't like being rushed during parts where there's no, like, intense action, because it doesn't always increase the tension the way I think the author intends it. And this is contrasted by my final love, and that is when the author does a good job of seeding doubt, but also seeding the twists in the ending. When they're giving you enough information to make you question what's going on, but connecting the dots to figure out what's going on at the end. I personally love figuring out the twists before I get there, and because I don't feel like it takes away from my experience, because I feel so validated when I get it right. And so I love when the author makes you work for the ending, but that the information that they provide you makes sense with the end. That is prompt 4. There's a lot of answer. So I'm going to go to prompt 5, which is recommend an underrated thriller. I'm not big enough in the thriller book community to really know what is, like, underhyped and overhyped. But the few people that I follow that read thrillers, I haven't seen talking about The Mother-in-Law by Sally Hepworth. It's not so much that the story, the thriller portion of the story itself, is necessarily amazing. What I love is the development of the relationship, the complex and twisting relationship of the main character Lucy with her mother-in-law, Diana, who at the beginning of the book turns up dead. That part of the story, the seeing that complex relationship kind of bloom and come to its full extent, is one of the things that I love the most about that book. So the thing I love about it isn't even really the thriller part, but it's definitely, in my opinion, an underrated thriller because of that. Next, I'll go to 6. The original prompt is pick 3 thrillers from your shelves, 2 you've read and 1 you haven't, and get your viewers to guess which one it is that you haven't read and which ones you have read in there. I don't have that. I'm not going to do that because I've done some pretty obvious reviews, like videos titled that I'm reviewed these books on my channel, so I'm not going to do that part, but I'm going to pick 3 books. They are all books that I have physically on my shelf. If I jumped cut and now everything's on its side, it's because I took the books out of the thriller shelf behind me here. The 3 I haven't read on my shelf are Leave No Trace by Mindy Mejia, Marabou Stork Nightmares by Irvin Welsh, and Tornado Weather by Deborah E. Kennedy. I think some of these are considered like mystery thrillers, and not just thrillers, but those are the 3 on my shelf I haven't read. Please comment below which one you think I should pick up in the next little bit. I'm intending to increase the number of thrillers I read for October, so the results from this video will come out likely with my Prompt 7 is thrillers can be an intimidating book genre. Pick a book that you would suggest to a new-time thriller reader. And I'm actually going to go with 2 different books. They're by the same author. I think overall, while I don't love all of Riley Sager's books, The Last Time I Lied and Home Before Dark are 2 ones that are really good to pick up. They're not super complex. They're pretty insular in their setting, so there's not a lot of extraneous things going on typically. Last Time I Lied is this girl kind of returning to a summer camp where one of the people she knew there died when they were children, and is kind of returning to that situation. And what I like about it is it's a pretty simple and straightforward, somewhat unreliable narrator, and it does a few mixes of those, and I love the way it makes you question all of the characters you interact with. My other recommendation with The Home Before Dark is, again, not a super complex storyline, but it has this really wonderful gothic atmosphere, so if you like a lot more atmosphere in your books, that's the one I would lean towards. So those are my 2 suggestions. If you guys are still hanging in there and made it through question 4, comment below if you think either of those are good starting places for thriller readers, and if they're not, what would you recommend? And now I'll move to my 8th and final prompt. What is your favorite thriller of all time? And this is hard because I've read a variety, and I've read some stinkers, I've read some good ones. And when I was thinking about it, my gut reaction was to go with one by Gillian Flynn. And I was like, am I just saying that because those are the first ones I read? And I thought about it some more. And I went, you know what? No. Gone Girl, which I know is a little bit overhyped because of the movie, is still probably my favorite thriller. I loved the main female, Amy. I loved the way her husband was weird and unreliable, but you sort of wanted to root for him. And I really enjoyed having the cast interact and the Amy and her husband interact and just getting into everybody's brains and kind of seeing what was going on. I think Gillian Flynn does a really good job of writing, seriously damaged or traumatized or manipulative women, but does it in a way that doesn't feel off-putting. Because I would say they know how to write women. It's not like when some people, I don't know how exactly to word it, but it has to do with the fact that these characters feel realistic, even though in some cases the woman is very damaged in some way or incredibly manipulative, intelligent, and I just like when those, and I mean all of her women characters are intelligent, and I really like when that plays with the other aspect of her personality that she writes. And yeah. Oh, I have another one written here. Miracle Creek by Angie Kim. Completely different feel. This one is more of a slice of life, crime room drama. Or crime thriller. Oh my god. It's a courtroom drama kind of feel. Very different. One of my more recent reads. Also highly recommend. Anyways, that's it. That's all. Again, the Thrilling Thriller book tag is through Nicole by A Beautiful Chaos of Books. Links, again, will be in the description below, and I will talk to you in the comments. Peace.